Welcome to At Issue. Thank you so much for being with us. I'm H. Wayne Wilson. 2008 came in with a roar in Livingston County. It wasn't the kind of roar you would like to hear. It was a flood on the Vermilion River that inundated more than 1,000 homes in Iroquois and Livingston counties. The year's news continued later that summer when the announcement came from Rod Blagojevich that he wanted to close the Pontiac Correctional Center. And then later in the year, Interlake, a manufacturer of shelving systems, announced that unless it found a buyer, that the 230 employees there would lose their jobs. Not a good year for a city the size of Pontiac and a county the size of Livingston. But they are optimistic, especially a restaurant owner, a realtor, and the mayor. And we'll find out from them directly as we introduce you to Stephanie DeLong. Stephanie is co-owner with your husband of DeLong's Casual Dining in Pontiac.
Correct.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Scott McCoy is the mayor, the energetic cheerleader mayor of the city of Pontiac. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, appreciate it.
And joining us from Odell, Illinois, not too far from Pontiac, Joan Bullard of Joan Bullard Realty. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Let's start with the flood.
Okay.
You seem to think that the flood was devastating. There's no question. The Vermilion River went up to 19 feet or something like that.
Correct.
And homeowners were just devastated. But you tend to be positive about it in terms of the image.
Absolutely. When you look at what happened to the city of Pontiac, we were devastated by something we could not control. It was water coming in, nothing we could do but try to prepare and help each other out. And what it did is it brought the community of Pontiac together and brought even other communities throughout our entire county and beyond to come in and assist us with that. So we saw a tremendous relief effort of people working together. You know, it's devastating for those people who are affected in their homes, but what it shows is you know, you can still come together, and I think we had a very positive outlook to anybody else outside of Livingston County looking at what's happening at Pontiac.
When the announcement came that the prison may close, or at that time it would close, you're a former DOC employee. Your husband is a current DOC employee. What was your immediate reaction?
Anger, because of the reason why they said they were closing it. Having worked there, knowing that, you know, how it was ran, how safe it was, how much it was needed for the state of Illinois. It's kind of like the lifeline for the penal system, and for the reasoning behind it, it just was I was just very angry. I was just frustrated.
The governor pointed out that it would be cheaper to operate the prison at the Thompson Correctional Center as opposed to operating Pontiac. Did you buy that?
No.
Yeah, that may be true if you look at facility to facility. But in a day when the cells, you know, we need more cells, we need more prison beds. The population is not decreasing. So to close one of the largest flagship facilities and move to another facility that cannot handle everything that Pontiac handles didn't make sense. It was more of the logic, I think, that we had a problem with than opening Thompson. I think opening Thompson's fine. That's why it was built 7 years ago, is they needed more room. But you don't open it and close Pontiac at the same time and actually lose facility space.
And I don't think that he really sold the idea on opening Thompson and running Thompson to save money, and considered the cost that it was going to take to actually move all of these inmates, you know, the staff that it was going to take to bus them from point A to point B, the economic impact that it was actually going to cost for the state of Illinois. And we do need the bed space. I mean, there's not one person that has said that we don't need Thompson open. I mean, everybody that allocated the funds when they were going through the negotiations of building that facility, I mean, that's why it was opened. There was a need. The Department of Corrections at one point was 135% over capacity. You know, we need these beds. So if you're going to, it was never, let's open one to close one, I think is what Scott was really trying to say. But when he's saying we're going to save money by doing this, you're not saving any money when there's already a need, and then you're going to have all this extra cost of moving all of these inmates. And
we're so overcrowded that we're keeping inmates in Cook County Jail, and we're going to close Pontiac Correctional Center. It never made any sense to anybody to do this.
But when he was
just
saying
none of it
also
made
it was
right.
unsafe.
Yeah.
It's unsafe. It's you know, there's so many
Old.
problems here. It's old. It's old. The only thing that's old there is the dirt that it's
It's a
built
very
on.
updated facility.
They have
from what
spent
everybody
millions
says.
and millions of dollars. Even my tender there, you know, they redid the whole entire Sally Port. They retucked the South House and North House buildings. They put in a state-of-the-art fire system. They have put in towers. I mean, I worked a short time in the maintenance department, and just to see the money that they spent to upgrade and
Right.
So when an announcement like that comes down, and when it comes from the governor, you have a sense that, gee whiz, this is going to close. What kind of impact did that have on the atmosphere of the citizens of Livingston County?
Well, for real estate, I mean, we all had deals, every office, I'm not just speaking for myself, but things was put on a hold. That's just the way it was. Things was on hold. Because like you say, we figure if the governor is saying this, it's going to happen. You know, but luckily we have a lot of good people working behind the scenes that's working against him, that knows that there's no reason for this. It's crazy. It doesn't make any sense, and the dollars certainly don't add up, as has been shown. I mean, the facility at Thompson right now, they're going to have to totally redo it to make it livable for people, livable for the guards to go up there and even be guards. So, I mean, Thompson is not ready for the inmates that we have at Pontiac. Thompson is needed, Pontiac is needed, but Thompson needs some updating. It has been sitting empty for several years, and you know, things aren't good when they do that. So, you know, we were all just like devastated and just thought it couldn't happen, and we started right away. What can we do? We can't let this happen.
The estimate is about $54 million economic impact if the prison were to close. It's the
Correct.
second largest employer behind the Caterpillar Fuel Systems in Pontiac.
Yep.
So you go into overdrive, so to speak, and you start making a bunch of phone calls, and you talk to Roger Walker, among other people, the head
Sure.
of Department of Corrections.
Correct.
What did he have to offer?
Well, I talked to him fairly late in the process after we went through several of the steps. The first thing you're trying to do is evaluate why are we going through this process. And it was pretty clear to the leadership team of elected officials that this was politically motivated. I don't think there's any question, nobody really doubts that. When all the logic and talking about all the facility closures and the money makes sense on logic, this came down to politics. Really, Pontiac was announced on a Monday. But prior to that, the Friday before that, he announced Stateville was going to close up in the Joliet area. Changed his mind over the weekend and decided to close Pontiac. So there were a lot of problems with that. So with the leadership team, we decided, you know, we've got to look into this thing a little bit further. Some of us were a little more aggressive than others, depending on your position. And I decided that, you know, what I needed to do is, as we were several steps into it, is talk to Director Walker. What does he have to say and see where he's at? It was made very clear to me in a private 2-hour conversation we had in his office in Springfield that he did not want to close Pontiac. This was not his design, it was not his decision, and it came down from the top. He kept referring to he has a boss, and we all know who that is, but it was in his budget. He included Pontiac in the budget. I think, unfortunately, Director Walker is a man who is put in a position kind of between a rock and a hard place, and he's just doing what he's told. I think he's in a little bit over his head, to be quite honest.
Senator Dan Rutherford represents your area. He may be part of the reason that Governor Blagojevich made the decision, but he's also taken a keen interest in trying to help Livingston County. What role has he played?
Well, he's played a very prominent role. Obviously, he should. This is his district. This is what he's working for. It is kind of difficult as I look as a local official. You know, my interest is not in Thompson. My interest is not in Menard Correctional Facility. That's not what I'm elected to do. I'm elected to fight for Pontiac, and that's what I do. Local officials in Livingston County are doing the same thing for the county. Senator Rutherford has a wider area. Plus, he has to see what's best for the state overall. So while I'm kind of I don't think Thompson's quite ready to open yet. We need to kind of, you know, do something with that. He's more of it's a statewide issue he has to deal with. So again, he kind of has his political situations he has to work on. So we have a little bit of difference of opinion from here to there. But for the most part, I mean, he's the head of the leadership team. Representative Summer and Representative Coulter also were on top of this, and Chairman Flott with the county, as well as Chairman Fairfield now, who just took over with the county.
Bill Flott just stepped aside after a 2-year term. So
Correct. And so, you know, we're all very prominent in working in these different arenas because we all have a little bit different angle on it.
And we all work side by side with the union. I mean, did anything with the union. What do you need? Some money? I mean, our Realty board gave $5,000 to them for advertising. We got impact money from the state of Illinois. I don't know anybody that wasn't active. I mean, we took buses to Springfield. We went into the Capitol building. We went right up to the governor's office. He was not there the day we went. He was in California shopping, he said. So he knew we were coming, though. But I don't know anybody in the whole county that was asked to do anything on this. Everybody was pretty shook up about it, and still are. I mean, I think we feel 99.9% that it's not going to close because they are going to have to look at everything that this governor has touched or been associated with and really scrutinize it. So I think we feel like maybe we've got it made, and I think we've been told that there's enough food now ordered like 6 months out at the prison, and they're doing some things to kind of prove that it's here to stay, but we have not got that person to sign off. If we could get somebody in the DOC department to please do something for the state of Illinois and for Livingston County to sign off that the prison is not closing, that's what we really need. We really do need that, and I tell you, Livingston County is not in that bad a shape. We really aren't.
But what do you hear from restaurant customers? Are you hearing that they're still a little tentative about all this? I mean, they're walking on eggshells?
Not as much anymore. I think that once the governor was arrested, it's kind of a sign of hope. Once the Interlake situation kind of turned around, and you know, everybody's just kind of looking for the future. Everybody's worried about, you know, the major bank bailouts and the automaker bailouts, and you know, there's just a lot of stuff throughout all of the United States that's affected, you know, with the election and the new president. So they're just kind of hoping that, you know, everything's just going to start to bring its way back around. It can't stay.
Our local banks are strong. I mean, they're lending money. So many people are refining that they can hardly keep up on it. We're still selling, you know, our share of the homes. Not as busy as we'd like to be, but it's not as bad as it could be either. But our local economy, we're a strong county, Livingston County is. We're a very farm-oriented county. And really, I think if we could get somebody to sign off on this prison, I think you'd see a whole different atmosphere in our county, especially with Interlake, you know, now going to be probably bought out because it is in bankruptcy. So that kind of opens it up for everybody to buy it.
Let's talk about Interlake. 230 employees, union shop.
Correct.
Shelving, things of that nature.
Correct. Industrial shelving.
A Spanish company, Mechalux, or however, I may be mispronouncing that, but
Right.
they're in the process of buying this?
Correct. They're in the process of buying it through a bankruptcy.
And how many jobs are going to be saved? Do you know yet?
We don't know yet. A lot of that's going to be worked out through the bankruptcy process and then dealing with the UAW and their membership. But we hope to save at least 200 of the 230, 250 jobs that are currently there. But that's a lot better than closing the facility. You know, as soon as that was announced, we worked very, very hard in working with Interlake and UFI to see what we can do to at least keep the plant around. And we were all successful in that, very happy about that.
Is there a sense, for instance, with Interlake, because 2008 was such a rough year with regard to announcements, and all of a sudden the Interlake announcement comes late in the year, it takes one shot for people to go, uh-oh, here we go again. Is that the sense? I mean, were your
Yes.
customers
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about
We-
that?
Yes.
Yeah, we felt that. You know, it just seemed like it's kind of like an emotional roller coaster is how I kind of described it. It kind of seemed like when the media was portraying that the prison wasn't, you know, at first it was closing, and then it was kind of like this downhill slide, and then, you know, then you get a little bit of ray of hope, and then you're like, okay, everything's going to be fine, and then it's like back down again, and there was good news, there was bad news, and so it has. I mean, I think the whole summer to the to the end of the second quarter of the year was an emotional roller coaster. And, you know, you'd hear the rumors about Anthony Lifgate's and, you know, Interlake and Cat's contracts, and you're just, these are
I
some
think
of our
anywhere in town
major.
that had 6 cars parked yesterday and have 2 today, something was kind of, you know, anywhere in the
Something's
county, it was
happening.
like, oh my gosh, you
I
know?
think
Go ahead, Stephanie.
I just had a thought earlier that one of the things that I think really saved us in the fight for closing the prison is that there was rumor that they were going to do this back in 2004.
Correct.
And Senator Rutherford fought for a bill that stopped any state facility. When they went through this in Vienna, they've talked about closing Pontiac, they had talked about closing Stateville Correctional Center, and Senator Rutherford fought for a bill that you had to have, I don't even know, the State Closure Act. There's
Right.
there's a
It's a
name
Facility
for it.
Closure Act.
Facility
Right.
Closure Act.
COGFA?
Correct.
Yes.
Part of the COGFA process.
Yes.
Well, part of that process, yeah. And they had to go through all of this stuff. And I think that that was the one thing in the fight for saving the prison, you know, maybe not knowing in 2004 that we were going to be doing this in 2008. But if we didn't have that,
Oh, yeah.
how devastating it could have been that this could have just been, Pontiac could have been wiped out in June.
Well, then I think everybody after the COGFA hearing at the high school really had hopes because everybody on
It
the
went
panel,
9-0.
was Democrat and Republican. But even the night that you left the high school, you just had the feeling that the Democrats and the Republicans, this was bipartisan, they were on our side. They knew this prison should not be closing because the DOC people that were there that night, was there 4 or 5?
Well, there
They
was
had no
10.
answers.
There was a lot of them. I mean, there was
but
4 or
the ones
5 in
that were
that
on
main
the
canyon.
ones that were just up on the stage, was there 4 or 5? They had no answers for half the questions that our representatives were asking them.
I don't know how
So
long
we
that
kinda
meeting
went,
went.
oh my gosh.
What, like
11
7
hours.
hours?
Yeah.
It could have been done after the first
Sure.
40
Right.
minutes.
Yep.
I mean, when they were asking certain questions to Department of Corrections. And the crowds were cheering everybody, you know, they're like with their little, you know, hammer, stop, all the, you know, excitement, you know, because they just didn't have an answer. DOC would just
They
sit
had
there
no
like,
answers.
It basically confirmed everything we were thinking.
Right.
There's no logic based into this decision by the governor. The governor is simply doing it for some other reason. And it's either personal or it's politics or it's both. And that really kind of clearly came out of the COGFA hearing.
COGFA, for the benefit of the audience, the Commission on Government
Forecasting and
and
Accountability.
let's turn to the role that government can play when things aren't doing so well. People are a little gun shy right now, and Anthony Lifgates is an example. Rumors started spreading. All of a sudden, every time, like you said, when there's fewer cars, something's going on. So, not that it was done in response to this, but it happens that the timing is right. The new Law and Justice Center is moving forward. And Livingston County and Pontiac could have just as easily sat back and said, well, you know what, tough economic times all over, maybe we shouldn't build this Law and Justice Center, but you're moving forward.
Absolutely. The Law and Justice Center from the county, in studying it, in working with them as the city of Pontiac, there's 2 major reasons. One is they are out of room. Prison or no prison, hard economic times or not, they are simply out of room and they need to expand. That's just the core systems that we have. It's also safety and security. But the county board and the council of the city of Pontiac, as well as all other entities within the county, government officials and so forth, are very positive on what's going to happen in our county. As bad as times are, we're not any different in Livingston County than every other county in the United States right now. Economics are hitting us, everybody's feeling the pinch, jobs are being lost, people are getting cut back and so forth. But even through everything we went through in 2008, and really have shined so far through every single one of them, that we believe we're still better off than most, simply because of the people that we have in Livingston County, how we work together between businesses and government agencies and elected officials and the general public. Pontiac and Livingston County are very, very strong and vibrant, and we're very proud of that. During our floods, there were things the Red Cross did not have to do. They never bought any food. In fact, they had so much food donated from the community that they had to give it away, or it's spoiled. They literally could not give the stuff away. That's never happened, from what I'm told from the Red Cross out of Bloomington area of the Heartland. So, it's a very strong, tight-knit community, and we're very proud of that. So we'll continue to move forward. The Law and Justice Center is one of those processes.
Let me put you on the spot, Joan. You've got the chief cheerleader over here.
Okay.
He's doing his job. Yeah,
Good job, Joe.
Things are good. Things are going to be better. We're going to weather the storm. You're an owner-broker. Things aren't as good as they used to be. Are you still think do you still feel Livingston County is that well off?
Absolutely. You know, when you're in business, you have to take the bad with the good. You can't have a good year every year. And you better plan on that. You better put a little money aside and plan on that. So that's what we have to do. Actually, when the stock market, what happened to the stock market in October, we all took, that really hit us, you know. We've bounced back. It's surprising the way December and January is ending up in real estate. People are always going to need a place to live, and they're always going to need to eat. So try on a Saturday night in Livingston County, and I'm sure that you can vouch for this, there are places you can't get into that aren't even taking reservations. That's how busy they are. Any restaurant in Pontiac, and we have 2 wonderful restaurants in Odell that people come from all over the county to eat there, you're standing in line. You have to have a reservation.
Time to ask the question, business off or business good?
I don't know if our Saturdays are standing room only anymore. I mean, in the summer, yes. We have a really cute outside seating area, and when the weather's good, I mean, it's pretty packed. We have seen a major decline since probably September through December, probably about the mid part, a couple weeks right before Christmas, excuse me, it started to get a little bit better. Kind of everybody's out spending money for the holidays, and so we kind of started to think, okay, we're gonna be okay, we're gonna get through this. But we did take a really big hit. People do need to eat, but when they are cutting back, I have seen they're not going to eat out as much. So, you know, if I had to look at my numbers from September through December of 07 versus 08, there's a big difference in people
Probably
going
did
out.
October, the stock market maybe hit you a little more, maybe people pulled back a little
Well,
bit.
September was that was the worst for us in September. We had all the construction, which was a great thing. It was just bad timing because of the announcement of the banks. When the federal government announced the bailout, it was the exact same time in Livingston County that the second installment of taxes were due. We were in the middle of construction. They started moving inmates out at higher numbers. Busloads of inmates were leaving Pontiac, so it was looking pretty, you know, it was a big black cloud. I felt in September. We had construction, we had gas prices at $4 a gallon, we had the bailout, we had the inmates moving, we had, you know, I mean, there was 5 major things in September and October that hit us pretty hard.
So let's look at 2009. We've reviewed 08, and let's stimulus package from the federal government. Livingston County and the city of Pontiac and the city of Odell. Ready to reach out, and you've got shovel-ready projects?
I think everybody has shovel-ready projects. There's always
How long
a bridge
is your
that can
arm?
be fixed and so forth, right? And that's something the county board chairman and I are working on, as well as our state representatives and senator. You know, if there's something that's there that Livingston County can benefit from, by all means, we need to look at that. If it's available, we need to do that. I'm not necessarily one, just as a personal standpoint, of a big stimulus person. I do think we need to kind of shear things up and assist the larger picture. But you know, when you look at it, that every person could get $5,000, $6,000, $12,000, whatever it was, out of $1 trillion, I'd rather take the 60 grand for my family and invest it myself than have the government do it. I'm a big government needs to stay out of your way type of a person. But we'll see what happens. So far, we haven't seen anything at our level, and so we're doing it ourselves in Livingston County. We are making our own stimulus by promotion and staying in tight-knit family.
Entrepreneurship is what will pull this country out of this.
Yeah.
We're a strong country. We've been through tough times before. We'll make it. The government cannot get us out of this. We have to do it, you know.
You're an entrepreneur. You've got 3 months left. You chose not to run for re-election, so you can pay attention to your business. What parting words as mayor do you have for the residents of Pontiac and for residents of Livingston County?
I would say it's not over yet. There's a lot of struggle that's going to continue to happen. You know, things aren't just going to bounce back, but I think Pontiac and Livingston County will bounce back a lot faster than everyone else. And this is why I say that. While we're all in the same boat across the country, as the economic stimulus or whatever, you know, people just get it back in their heads that times are getting better and they start purchasing again and all of it starts to come back, Pontiac will come back as well. But when you get hit as hard as we have between the flood, the potential closures of our second and 6th largest employers in the county, that once those are established, like Interlake is currently and hopefully PCC is soon, people will turn around in our area and have that good feeling before the rest of the country. So I think you're going to see a boom out of Livingston County far before the rest of the country really sees that. And we kind of saw that in the arrest of the governor on the 9th of December. As soon as that happened, there was a lot of Christmas purchasing going on because people were in good moods.
And let's hope those good moods continue for DeLong's Casual Dining in Pontiac.
That's
Stephanie
right.
DeLong,
That's
thank
right.
you for being with us on
Thank
that
you.
issue. Scott McCoy, Mayor of Pontiac, for at least 3 more months.
Correct.
Thank you for being here.
Appreciate it.
Joan Bullard, Realty in Odell, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for joining us. We'll be back next week with another look at the economy, this time looking at business in general in the state of Illinois. Join us then for another discussion on At Issue. We have to look friendly for a few minutes.